Now, basically about, it's going to be 45 minutes to at least an hour at least before the Pope just elected to greet everyone, and so there's huge anticipation of that. The new successor.
And I mean, as we were talking about before, you see the crowds filling the squares, but also the different people who come. I mean, you can see the flags waving, people smiling. It's a big sign of the church, but also just how supportive people are in sense of being here for this moment.
And now we're going to have an invasion of Romans coming in. It's only natural and normal to live here. So those who can, maybe. Of course, he's their bishop. And so they're going to be streaming into the square. It's going to be filling up.
Make some interesting traffic around my house because if my recollection is correct, when they couldn't get any further, they just left their cars in the road.
So there you are.
They were just
Stop the run.
But we don't. There's no rights to that.
That's true. That's true.
Look at that billowing thick white smoke there. All the different
I
flags.
love that people ready with their flags. Just in
Yes.
case. Yes. My daughter said that the election Benedict was and her closest friend was German, and they went out into the square.
You just never know. I mean, when I was in Square here, people thought, oh no, it might be a longer time, it could take days. You just don't know.
Just a moment. In fact, I didn't know what to expect. At the same time, it's a wonderful surprise here to see white smoke billowing there, and so after just one day and a half,
Does it make you feel like there's a wonderful message? We stop and it's really often
and indeed this hope that's being realized that we have shepherds, so to speak, someone to take on the reins there and to accompany us on this journey of our life. And then it will be fascinating to see, as I say, you see the central lodge of St. Peter's Basilica, you see that's where people will be appearing as the bishop was to be announced that a baker's coming. We have a Pope, and then the big surprise will be as he proceeds towards the central lodge, and we see Cardinal is now dressed in white.
People, they might be thinking, okay, why is there this long wait, as you mentioned? That is, why is there this long wait in between when we see the white smoke and then the new Pope comes out to the loggia? And it's because there's a process that's going on right now.
There is a very long process which will go through the allegiance of and we saw how long it took for the
And also, those were mentioned before in our discussion about tears, which has become very essential right now. So right now, the new Pope would have gone, or was it even after?
I think he's already, and I think that's one of the reasons why this is kind of a funny hour.
Right.
As it got to be past 5, I was thinking, I guess now we have to wait until 7. But I think this must have been the time that he spent in that room of tears thinking about preparing himself for what is look at that square, and that square is just, it's a microcosm of the millions, if not billions, who are watching, all of them fixed to see, some of them already Christians, Catholics, but other people who are really searching. There is so much searching going on in the world, and I don't know how many of the people that I've been working with, secular media, so we talk, I used to be they somehow feel this moment as still their own. It's a funny thing about those sacraments, right, Father? It's like hard to get rid of them. And so he's also the Father.
And there's also a real life need going on in the volunteers as well, because probably the tailors are very busy adjusting one of those cassets to be able for the new pope to be able to wear on the function.
Oh, and don't forget the barber. They
Yes.
keep a barber back there just in case he needs like a shave and a trim or something. Like some of them show up scruffy for the conclave, they're not expecting it, so they keep the barber back there. Also sworn to secrecy.
But these are incredible moments. I love it. And what a surprise! We're sending out that report on history, and here we are. Tell us about what it's like down there in the square. You're there among the crowds.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot harder than here than it was last time when you called me. A lot more noise. Immediately, as soon as we saw that white smoke, huge cheer went up. Huge cheer. So many people already arriving. I can't see them all, but I know that that product is really the piazza from all over. Yeah, it's becoming a huge sense of expectation and more people arriving every second.
I mean, was there a moment where you heard gasps? Was there a lot of surprise? Did you feel like people were shocked that the smoke happened right now? People running to the square, and there will be probably for a long time, Joe. I mean, because people will be flocking to see the new Pope coming.
Yeah, that's right. And all kinds of people here as well. I said. From all over, I spoke to a nun from Samoa, right the island of Samoa. I spoke to a Buddhist monk, and that's one of the interviews that I wasn't able to send back to you guys. I spoke to a Buddhist monk from Thailand, who said by chance, he just happened to be in Rome visiting a friend, but he was in the square on purpose because he really wanted to be here. He said that although he's a Buddhist, that Pope Francis really meant a lot to him, and he said he was really hoping to see the successor. And yes, and so that was really nice. He said he described it as a genuine British friendship. That's what he said. Just a British friendship, solidarity. That's why he wants to be here from time to time.
Beautiful. And our camera work here, we were just zooming in on that balcony from where the new Pope will appear. Joe, tell us about, when you're explaining to people in the square, what's next, what's going to happen? I'm sure people are asking, so what happened for Pope elected?
That's right, yeah. I just want to explain to people exactly, so we know that right now the Pope is going to be Victorian, and he is on the loggia, so we'll have the kind of road that he will come out, and that's the kind of road he's been elected, then he will give the Habemus Papam, the announcement in Latin, will here say in Latin the name of the relative elected Pope, and he will be thinking very carefully trying to see if they can catch that name, and if they can't catch it, they'll see the Pope, going after the Pope that he leave the balcony, and the Pope will come out, he'll speak probably in Italian, probably say a prayer, instead of his first prayer, so that's what everybody here knows waiting for, that moment when they see the new Pope for the first time.
And Joe, how about yourself? You're going to be there for us, aren't you? You're going to be staying there in the square.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, there's no other rather be in the world right now than right here in the square. So yeah, I couldn't move into it right. I'll be there.
Fantastic. You'll be telling all your friends about this experience you're having here right now in the future, for sure.
Well, thanks so much, Joe.
Cheers, DJ.
Thank you, Joe. We're going to be back with you very soon for more update on all happening in the square there. So, tell us a bit about this experience for you now. I mean, this experiencing it live, smoke coming out here, and now a great sense of anticipation.
Well, it's just such a privilege to be here in Rome at this time, but also I probably felt closest to Pope Francis because I served him in different ways, both as the in my work at Caritas Internationalis and then also as Secretary General I always just say he's the best ruler we could ever have.
Very nice.
Here we have the brilliant sunlight illuminating all the people there in the square and growing in number. And now, Dr. Lev, tell us a bit about, I was thinking, the central...
There's a sort of strange side transept on St. John Lateran, because when the popes lived over there, that was where the pope would come out for the Orbi et Orbi blessing. Or even the church of San Marco in Piazza Venezia, where Pope Paul II lived, he also had a loggia of the benedictions placed into his house / church / because the popes weren't officially living in the Vatican. And then even what it means to have the pope on that balcony. If we were in the early 20th century, the first conclaves of the 20th century, there was no pope on the balcony, because during the so-called Roman question, after the unification of Italy in 1870, during those conclaves, while the newly formed Italian state and the there's a sort of strange side transept on 2005, all the cardinals, when they first started, lots and lots of cardinals. They were all trying to fit out on those openings of the balcony, and you were kind of looking at a couple of them like, that looks a little precarious.
Yes.
So let's hope they've worked out the placement, the placement out on the balconies this time.
Absolutely. Here we're seeing a long... shot there, and crowds coming down the main avenue via the Conciliazione. There are security checks, of course, which is one reason that the crowds may kind of trickle in more than be running into the square. Unfortunately, that's, I mean, it's absolutely necessary nowadays. So,
Sure, you can see them coming from the security now.
so there's always a metal check, and also you have to ensure the security of the square.
Well, and as we're... And it starts with the rite of acceptance, which already happened, because... And it starts with the rite of acceptance, which already happened, because weeks we've had the Swiss Guards present for certain things, but now they have a pope once again that they are protecting. That is their role, that is their mission, right? To be where the pope is, to protect him. And so this is extra special because now we see them coming out again to the piazza because we will have a pope.
Yes. You know, I live with 21 other priests in a residence, so all of us work in Koya. And we've been sharing at breakfast how hard it is in the morning when we're celebrating Mass and there's always a prayer in the canon.
It's time, and we probably have another, it's at least a half hour before earliest.
Will you join in prayer as well for this moment?
We do indeed. You can be sure even the new Pope hears all this in the background, because it's a lot of strong sound that's coming up there and then propagating up
Right.
into the areas there.
Join in prayer as well for this moment. And
We do indeed. You can be
hear the support of the band and the people clapping and cheering must be extra special for that person.
absolutely a huge encouragement as well, apart from the weight of the office and accepting and realizing the challenge, the immense challenge. Will be taking on and responsibility, but encouraged by what is the fanfare we're seeing and hearing in St. Peter's Square right now. And as I mentioned, the crowds are filtering in. There'll be a security check before that, but the square is slowly filling up there with people coming in last minute to be here. Of course, they're lucky to have enough time, because we have about this almost 1 hour before the new Pope will go. And so we see in the blue there the gendarmes, the Vatican gendarmes, and the band they have there, and then of course the Swiss Guard in position. So.
Well, interesting. And behind the scenes, looking back behind all the process that's happening, I think it's so interesting to think we're seeing the crowds waiting, cheering, trying to keep spirits up while they wait the hour or more until we know who the Pope is, and I think. As we're talking about, prayer is also a central part of this aspect as well. I mean, before, although the Pope comes out, we see the first ceremony, the greeting, the Te Deum, where in the Sistine Chapel, after being dressed and saying yes, the Pope goes back to the Sistine Chapel and he takes a seat on a chair and a ceremony begins. And it's introduced with a greeting from the senior cardinal of the Order of Bishops, and then they read a passage from the Gospel, which, as we talked about with Liz and also Dr. O'Donnell, I mean, it grounds the mission of the Pope, the office of the Pope in the Gospel, and the message that Christ gave to Peter, feed my sheep, tend my sheep. So I don't know, it's a really special moment, I think, when you look behind what's happening right now as we wait.
And speaking of the ground,
just in the unbroken line of blessing and authority and responsibility.
And now, going on the ground there in the square, we have Sister Nina Krankic, who's from Croatia and is with us there in the square, and she works here at Vatican News and is going to share us tell us more about her own experience there in the square. Sister Nina, can you hear us?
Out of the building right here, and so many people already gathered here supporting the playing and public hearing. The atmosphere is so getting warmed up, and it's incredible. We're going to take our place somewhere here among the people, and we're going to wait for that funny movement that is going to happen here soon.
Sister Nina, you must have run out of the building there to get there in the square, because I mentioned the crowds coming in now there's got to be some bottleneck there, isn't there?
Yeah, we ran out of building all the signs. It was such a fun crowd. It was like, oh, so we ran out and ran around and we're going now. We're really fun for 6 years actually, so we have a bunch of this food. A little bit later, I can tell you more about what's going on, but you actually got a lot of the squares because of so many people all around. All about the old party home gathering here, so it's really hard to enter the church at this moment. There's so many journalists, everybody's really good at stuff, and there's a many people all around, so it's really
So it must feel like a big party almost. I imagine in some ways.
Now the
well, you know what,
Italians.
this is the biggest party that I was ever at, that's for sure. That's for sure.
And we can hear the bands there. We see the Italian Carabinieri band that's coming into the square as well. So I imagine it's adding to the festive atmosphere you're living there.
It's very fast atmosphere. The cars are all here, and the music is very atmospheric, very good.
All right, Sister Nina, thanks for giving us that update there, and we look forward to connecting with you there again when possible. We know how it's a little tough with the cell signal there, given all the people communicating live on their cell phones and the networks there being a bit saturated. But thank you.
Yeah,
And
I hope to talk to you soon, and you can still make the people if you're somewhere around, if you're coming close, you can still make it. So try to get on the square and don't miss your festival. Time, and if you want to keep it, you'll stay with us and wait for that moment.
And Sister Nina, by the way, this is your first experience of this type, isn't it? Your first conclave, and
Yeah.
so it must be extra special for you.
Oh, amazing. You know what, but seeing that live, you know, it's something so special, and that makes it cool. As we were coming here from the Vatican, from our building, actually people arrived and the street, Habemus Papam, and which was so something, you know, people coming and crying, and, you know, you feel that it's like a moment in the history of the church and of the world, so it's something that is once in a lifetime, so I'm really grateful to be here next week.
Wonderful. Alrighty, Sister Nina, thank you so much for sharing that with us, and we hope to touch base with you there shortly. Okay.
Thank you for calling me.
All right. In the
And
meantime, good luck
talk to
getting in the
you.
square there.
6 days Vedic Maths
Thank
Summer
you,
Camp.
bye-bye.
Don't calculate in a slow way.
Well, and
Enroll course and master
continuing
top
as we
speed method.
mentioned before,
You can solve the questions in
atmosphere,
seconds.
but also what we're seeing.
Attention dear
You
parents,
see the
if your
bands,
child is
Father,
studying
as
in
you
class 1 to
mentioned,
10,
the
join course now.
Italians
Only
as well,
29 rupees
coming
today.
in, coming up the
Includes
little
50
the
plus
stairs
maths
that
top
we
tricks,
often
50
saw.
plus science
The
core
POPE
concepts.
Mobile
Come
drive
and
up
learn with
for
teachers
general
from IIT
audiences.
NIT. Super discount is ending soon.
Shortly,
Only 29 rupees
we're
today.
not sure
Enroll
exactly when, but when the Pope comes out, there's a formula that is said in Latin, and for many of us, we might not have studied Latin in school. I mean, my Latin is quite rusty, so I don't know, maybe, Father, you know a bit more about what it's going to be said, and for those who might not know, what is the formula, what is said?
Well, it says the Pope deacon, and it's Cardinal Mongerti is the Pope deacon right now, will come out and say, I have an announcement of great joy, and then he says, we have a Pope, Habemus Papam. I saw some slides there and they didn't have the correct conjugation of Papa, but that's okay. The fact is, the news is it's almost universal language now in terms of communicating the fact that we know.
And then after that, he announces the name.
The name, yes, in Latin. And so I'll tell you a funny story of that too. A friend of mine was in the square when Paul VI was elected, and he was standing. He's from the U.S. He was
As you mentioned, I mean, I remember watching with some of my colleagues here at the start of this week some of the compilations from the Habemus Papams that we have video or audio of, which is only in the last, just over 100 years that we have video, and it's been really interesting because whether you know Latin or not, you know that phrase and you know what it means, and so it's a big signal to a new chapter in the church.
And I'm thinking of the last announcement was by Jean-Louis Thoreau, who worked with a great
introduced Pope Francis, and I remember even hearing his name. I was wondering, who? And then I looked it up very quickly because, as always, it's a surprise.
Right.
It's a surprise.
And you don't know, like, because we have such a list of people, and as we've said throughout this entire smoke watch, that it's the Holy Spirit that guides the decision. And so we don't know to that moment.
Here we see a formation of the Italian military bands,
Yes.
you know,
Wow.
Guardia di Finanza, Carabinieri, and then of course the gendarmes, the Vatican gendarmerie, their own band, and then the Swiss guards all in position there we see. Usually at a point after the Pope appears, so there'll be a mutual salute of both national anthems
Here's
and hymns.
the retired
Papal preacher.
and also then there's
Cardinal Raniero canta la messa, looking at his phone there, you see.
Technology.
And then Capuchin.
and also Cardinal Sean from Boston.
So here we are. The bands are playing. Introduction here to the Vatican anthem. Oh no, the Italian anthem. Sorry.
That's true. So the hymns, the songs will be going on until we hear that famous line of Habemus Papam and we see the Pope come out of the balcony.
So we have notes from the Italian anthem. And we just heard those, the Vatican hymn and then the Italian national anthem. Played a mutual salute between the two groups of bands. Mutual salute and greeting of both. This is just like when we see at Easter and at Christmas during the Urbi et Orbi when the Pope gives his blessing to the city and to the land. And before that, his Christmas or Easter message. So the bands are lined up there as we await the curtains to be pulled back there from the central altar of St. Peter's Basilica.
And even though the Holy See is a separate country, it's important for Italy to be involved in this too, because there's also the Bishop of Rome, so it's his flock is in Rome as well.
Actually, just now taking off my headphones to hear some of the ambient sound. You could hear kind of the craziness that's going on outside. You could hear helicopters, ambulances, fire trucks, everything. And so, I mean, even at the end of Via Conciliazione, where we are, you can hear the excitement and the festivities are happening outside.
And so I think some of that chimney smoke is going to
Gotten to
There's a lot of pollen allergy to this. As we head into summer. But what a stunning view there. We have the sun just going down behind the facade of St. Peter's. It's always stunning, when it comes during the sunset there with the sun facing east, but then you're looking at the Basilica and the sun going down behind it. It's amazing.
So everybody's eyes are on this.
Everybody's looking up. waiting for the doors to open and then the white curtains to be pulled back.
And there's actually a story about what's happening right now. Again, the Room of Tears, the new Pope getting dressed, and we know that there are 3 sizes of the white cassocks because you don't know who's going to be elected, but you have to be prepared. And actually, one of our colleagues, Christopher Wells, who was on this morning actually on the Smoke Watch, was talking about Pope John the 23rd, and he was. And actually, since it didn't fit, they had to tie it like a medical garment. And so it's a funny little anecdote to just remember that. I mean, no one knows, and so everyone's prepared. But that's what's going on right now. They're trying on the garments and they're seeing what's fitting.
And of course, they have different sizes available to start with. But sometimes they might need adjusting depending.
Exactly. We're all made in God's image and likeness in different sizes. So there you go.
See all those flags representing the different nations present. Also, it is the Jubilee of Hope, and so we have pilgrims here for Jubilee events over these days as well. I think I've got about 15,000 for currently in Rome just for the Jubilee themed events. For pilgrimages that are organized well ahead of time.
Well, and we're hearing from our producer, that they're looking outside our building, and as I mentioned, there's helicopters, but they're blocking off the roads, and that's what Liz was mentioning too. That people are stopping, and they're just trying to get to the square as fast as they can. So it's a moment of organized chaos a bit in the square and around the Vatican.
We have reports that there are people literally running to get into the square, and they will eventually, as they go through the checks and controls there. They do an extraordinary job of the crowd control as well, with these many people coming into St. Peter's Square and avoiding potential problems or issues due to that. So,
you have to think that, I mean, maybe everything has a purpose, right? Everything has a reason, because we have this time in between the white smoke and the Habemus Papam, maybe also for everyone to get to the square. It's a dual-edged sword. The new Pope is being prepared and ready to go to the loggia, but it's also to let everyone who can get to the square to be there for that special moment.
And we're seeing it with our Vati drone footage here, as I like to call it. And you can see the square there. It's just wonderful. You can get a sense of the crowds and then the people kind of streaming in from the main avenue and some of the side streets there.
Talking about the universality of the church, I just got a message from a UN official in Gaza who was listening to this transmission, and so you could see how connected people are and how grateful they are to be able to hear Vatican news as well.
And we're very good to have you here to say some nice, intelligent things for us.
I don't know.
As well as give us some interesting input on to share this experience. As you see the drone footage there shows our Vati drone is showing the avenue there filling up with people, and as they come closer to the square, then we just go through a check for that.
And all the flags are waving.
And that is, since this is your 3rd conclave in Rome.
In Rome. Yes.
And so
I haven't been a Catholic elsewhere.
No, but you've been in Rome.
Yes.
But have you ever had the opportunity, because I know working here, we're always pretty much in here, but have you ever had the chance to run out to the square or see the excitement?
For Pope Benedict, I was up there on the colonnade. Looking here on the footage here, you can see here on the left side there on that colonnade there where the statues are, on top of the Charlemagne ring. The colonnade, I was up there and able to just view from that position where all the photographers, videographers were, or most of them anyway, accredited, to see him come out and greet the crowd and give his blessing. And I remember, this is a strange thing, but after that event, going back into the Vatican and running into Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio. This is long after probably about an hour after the blessing was given. And I remember it distinctly because I knew the faces of all the cardinals.
Little did you know.
Little did I know. And then when there we see some of the cardinals there, I think it's Cardinal Wuerl, and we see, and then
The cardinal non-electors.
Yeah, exactly. They're over 80.
And
So
there's
non-electors.
Sister Petrin,
Ah, yes.
head of the
And that's Archbishop Fisichella as well, I think.
We see the Secretary of the Dicastery for Communication there, which is mutual release as well.
Well, and so, was it, I mean, obviously it's very different being inside here, but the excitement is still pretty much the same, being on the braccio, the colonnade, and being
very
here.
much so, because you're seeing things up close. Not only the bells I was mentioning earlier that you hear very clearly and loudly, but then seeing from a unique angle, almost below the level of the Central Lake, but higher up from the square. In 2013, then I remember I was down the street on the Conciliazione looking out the window at the crowds on Via della Conciliazione, and I could see the Central Lodge of Francis in 2013. So another experience for some unique one. And now here in our studio here, right close to the action there.
Exactly.
It's a very privileged experience. Again, what's really you really feel is the excitement and the joy of having a new pope, but then also the expectation. Who's it going to be? And I remember with Pope Benedict, it was cloudy and cool then. I mean, this is a day of just brilliant sunshine, mild temps. Of course, we're in May, and so
Francis was elected. I was helping out at an English-speaking parish in Geneva in addition to my other work. And the pastor had asked me to give a talk to the parents of the first communion children. And we got the news just as I was ready to start the talk. So I knew tonight I'm not going to make anything else than this.
Wow, so you've gotten the announcement in different places all around the world.
Yes.
No, it's amazing. Every time just a tad different.
And we have joining us Father Paul Sarasumo, who's from Zambia, and he's head of the English Africa section here at Vatican News and the Dicastery for Communication. Father Sarasumo, good to have you here. Many of our listeners who listen to the liturgies will recognize your voice as well as you do the commentaries for the papal events. How's this experience for you?
Thanks to actually I've been here all day, and then I went outside. And you won't believe I got blocked. I could hardly come in. I've been trying to come back for the next 10 minutes, but fortunately the support person allowed me. People are just running into the square. It's amazing. It's my first Conclave. I came in just after Francis had been elected.
So this is quite an experience for you.
It is an experience. It's amazing. Even just the moment leading up to this experience. I live in a house where some of the cardinals also were staying before they moved to Santa Marta. Of course, they're on little tables, and sometimes we just provoke them. They had sought secrecy, of course, confidentiality, but it was so wonderful, and the dedication of them going to the congregations, in the meetings, and even the non-electors, some of them with their permanently in our house. And we have some of the staff who have been helping. They had to also do the swearing in, so that they would be, some of them couldn't go because they're small children and they wanted to stay next to their children. So it has been a great experience even from that point of view.
Well, and also, since you're from Zambia, how do you think people in Africa, the African continent, are taking this moment? I mean, we have viewers, listeners from all around the world, but your experience in watching the conclave and being prepared for this Habemus Papam moment, like, what do you think is the atmosphere, the environment of people watching that?
It's a great moment. I can tell you already I've received about 5 or 6 calls just within the space of 10 minutes as I was coming in from some of my colleagues who are in the media. And I think the most, the call that I really enjoyed was from my uncle, who My uncle is 82, and usually we talk to him through my aunt because there's a problem with hearing. But he's so excited, so everybody's following. They're following on various channels there, the national television stations, the radio, and so forth. It's a great moment. And knowing Africa, they've always been fascinated by the Pope. So I remember even from the time when I was a young boy myself in catechism, I used to be told the anthem, the papal anthem.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was very familiar for you to hear.
Not this one, but there's an old one that was translated in our languages.
Oh, wonderful. Translated in your language?
Yes. Yeah.
In your language? Or languages?
Exactly.
And what are your languages, by the way?
Well, I'm from Zambia, and Zambia has 72 languages.
Oh my goodness.
Of which 8 or so are the main ones as widely spoken. English is the official language, so you can get by that.
Fantastic. I imagine people tune in even to our live streams, even if it's in Italian, Latin, or with your translation in English. I imagine it's a way to connect people. Tune in the same, even if they don't understand what's being said.
It is, and some directors of some of our Catholic radio stations. I'll give you an example. In Kenya alone, there are about 11 Catholic radio stations. So we've been asking, what time we go to? Are we having this morning? Yeah.
Well, and it's really interesting that we have you, Father Paul, in here, because as we heard from Father Bob, we had a message from Gaza, listening there, and then now you hearing messages from all over, and so it's the wide-reaching effect of this moment, and as the message or the theme that we've seen throughout our conversation has been universality, and how this is not just a moment for people here in Rome, and not just for Catholics, but for people everywhere.
In fact, I'd like to thank people around the globe tuning into our live stream here. Maybe you're watching on a local or a national network, local Catholic radio, wherever you're listening. Thanks for joining us here. We're going to be providing you with all the information we can as we await this historic moment to find out who the new Pope is. And we'll know pretty soon. It's been about a half hour or so since the
Close
smoke.
an hour.
An hour?
It was around 6
Time
o'clock.
flies. So any moment. And we see the crowds are coming in to the square, still streaming in, slowly but surely. On the sides there, you can see on the right side, on the left side there, going through the checks there, and then coming into the square, and they can all see things pretty well because there are these big television screens and good high-res ones too in the square and along the Conciliazione Avenue leading into the square. So many people, they can see just what we're seeing all together here. These same images and coverage. Sometimes there's some text message there, some subtitling there, and info for them, but they can get a good idea of what's happening even if they're not up close, thanks to the this new technology we have.
I'm sure, as we all talked about before, and you would also, I'm sure, have experience with this, but use it like the screens in the square, us doing this commentary, and you have to imagine that social media is blowing up with this moment, I mean, everyone that's in the square is live streaming, I'm sure, taking videos, taking pictures, and so the news is spreading even faster than it would have 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Exactly. Even just here in Rome, the streets, the cafes, what I found interesting was I'm sure you've seen the guys that sell trinkets and stuff. Some of them are from Senegal, from Bangladesh and so forth. And when the smoke came out, this guy asked me, do we have a Pope? And he said, do we have a Pope? I thought most of them are Muslims, but that kind of interest is really very touching and I find it very moving.
I have another story on that. When Pope John Paul II died, I told you I was on my way to Gambia, and I had to go through Senegal. So in Dakar, there was this long line that I was waiting to go in through immigration, and the guard pulled me out and said, the Pope has died. I said, yes, I know. So then he said, you come up to the front. And then he brought me to the official and he said, you must have this father go through now because the Pope has died. And then he told me that he had a chapelet, a rosary from John Paul II because he was part of the police when John Paul II visited the God. Next morning, 5 o'clock, I'm back in the line because I have to then fly to Gambia. And again, he came, pulled me out of the line, got me through, is everything okay with you? It was really amazing. But you see, again, what the Pope means to so many people. And he told me he was Muslim, but, he was important religious leader.
Again, I'm sure people around the world now are just tuning in, dropping in and out of this broadcast and other broadcasts to see what we're all waiting for with anticipation of who the new Pope is. And that should be very soon now. We'll know, of course, not only from the video we have here, but then the crowds let us know with their cheers and applause.
We'll all be trying to give you immediately the name of the cardinal, which has now become the Pope. And as I believe, TJ, you mentioned earlier, my father, Bob, you mentioned, it will be in Latin. And so we'll all be brushing up on our Latin in between, now and then, so that's we will have the name correctly. And then we'll also get to hear the name that the new Pope chooses to be
I
his
think
new...
the name is always also interesting because it kind of gives this vision of what he wants to do with the Pope. Probably what he wants to do, what inspires him. And I sort of had an anecdote there. I also have one. And when Pope Francis chose the name Francis, one of the Jesuits in Zambia told me, we were so excited because we thought you were chosen Francis Xavier.
Yes. And actually it was the next morning that Francis clarified that this was Francis of Assisi. So,
yeah, it's true, because a lot of people were trying to guess and figure it out.
That's right. When he met with journalists, he explained the origin of the name that he took and why.
And it's special, like you mentioned, Paul, right? So it usually drives an idea of what the focus might be for the pontificate, choosing this special name. And we had mentioned earlier, right, that the person, I think it was Liz that mentioned, the person becomes a new person in that sense. The Pope is a new man because he gets rid of the old name, takes on this new name, and he's no longer just cardinal whoever. He's the Pope of the Universal Church, the Pope that is the symbol of the Catholic Church around the world. Not only because, he is known as Pope, but also because of his white cassock that is widely recognizable.
We're seeing these camera shots. Those big television screens, people know when they're on camera, and so they have their moment of fame, their few seconds of fame, waving and greeting everyone. So it's always kind of fun too. It brings a little involvement and participation for everyone.
And it's good that the authorities, I think they planned this very well. You have screens around the Vatican, so that reduces also the congestion. We have the new square which has just been redone for the Jubilee year here. So there's another screen there that's beside this building. And people are just sitting out there, they are not rushing to go into the square because they can see. And maybe they even get a better shot a better view from the screen there. So there are a number of these live screens surrounding the area. And I think it was very good done.
Yeah, wonderful. And then even just the organization, I'm always impressed with the crowd organization, how people are led into these areas to assure that they can get in. It might take a little time, but then also how everything has come off so well without a hitch.
I guess it was almost prophetic because so much of the reconfiguration of the square and Via della Conciliazione was done for the Jubilee, but it served very well for the funeral and now
the city has done all these works projects also to help traffic flow well through the area. And here we have,
yes,
looks like, let's see here, it was called Shogun,
yes, and then Cardinal, who was the head of the Christianity.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
hear the helicopters. You can hear them in the square now. So it's getting louder and more apparent that there's people from all over, and everyone's getting images of the square.
I noticed also there's lots of people are running across the roads, you know. So
Gotta keep them safe
you
too.
better keep them safe, right?
Well, and so one of our colleagues, Lisa Zanganini, she did a lot of research on why we have this tradition of changing the baptismal name of the cardinal into the name for the Pope. And it actually started way back, 2,000 years ago to St. Peter, whose original name was Simon. And so it stems all the way from that. And it's a lineage that's been continuous since that time. And actually, what's interesting is that not all the popes have done this. Out of the 266 now, 267, only 129 have actually chosen a new name, which I never realized.
It was much later before the new name was put into place.
There you go. And it was John the 12th. Pope John the 12th. And only during that time, from 955 to today, it's only 2 other people that have not taken new names, which is interesting.
Very interesting.
So we've gone from the smoke watch in the morning now to the Pope watch.
We are on a
new
Pope watch
here from the central balcony, and I think we're coming up on prime time here. I think soon we should be seeing the new Pope appear, and we're getting some zooming out, some close-ups here of the crowds there, and we saw some Vatican officials, in fact, before.
There's also
As well as the mayor of Rome is out there.
Yes.
Okay. That's right. Was it Cardinal Casper, right?
Yes.
Casper.
I was going to say that it's been interesting also from the time the Holy Father Pope Francis died, how the liturgies have been moving and preparing the people.
Yes.
Even yesterday's Mass, just the prayers, we implore you, give us a shepherd, pleasing to you, one who will lead us by example and lead us to the gospel truth. This is in the collect and in the closing prayers. So this conclave liturgy is also very elaborate and very moving and preparing the people. So it's not just like this is just a successor to Francis. This is actually a transformation. This is going to be Peter who is going to be taking office.
That's right. Cardinal Ray said that in his homily.
He's been such a gift during this time too, Cardinal Ray.
It was incredible.
92 years old, full of energy and beautiful homilies, really inspiring us and helping us live through this whole ordeal.
Very inspiring. Like 92.
Yes, 92.
Inspiration indeed, and his energy, and also animated as well, in delivering, giving his homilies as well with passion. So always impressed with that. So here we are. All right, we got this.
Someone is just asking me on the phone, do we have the name yet? No.
Yes.
We will learn with all of you.
We're all like everyone else.
It must be hard for those cardinals out there now,
right.
because I'm sure they're not allowed to tell us. But
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah.
Wow.
Mom's the word.
Mom is the word. Now we're just waiting for the appearance. Pope Watch is on high alert.
That's right. It could be turned into. It will be a warning. So
It will be.
Okay. So. All right. So some quiet among the crowds now as this anticipation is sinking in and building.
Because I think what they will do as soon as the square is full, they won't let any more people inside.
Yeah.
People will just compete.
That makes sense.
This makes a lot of
Again,
sense.
like you were saying, the safety.
Yeah.
Safety is a big priority.
Absolutely.
Even though it's
Absolutely.
exciting. And you see even small children getting excited for this moment on our screen. So from
It's
the
kinda fun.
youngest to the oldest.
Fun for them, fun for us. too.
Exactly. It's as fun for all
us
ages.
adults. Indeed.
And even the Vatican flag.
Vatican time. And we're lucky the sun's gone down behind, it looks like behind the basilica now, so you won't have the sun blinding you as you look at the central balcony at the lodge there.
So a bit of anxiety yesterday, when the smoke wasn't coming. I said, what's happening? Why is it taking that long and so forth? But you could understand. I think as has been explained, there's so much to do. The jury,
the homily of Cardinal Cantalamessa as well.
Then there was also the verse as well. I think it was interesting. But you could also understand also the anxiety and the joy and excitement surrounding all this.
Sure. And then the first time going through the whole process of the voting process, whereas this one came along, it wasn't anything new. They were going in there to vote, before prayer, of course.
I mean, a lot of these flags that we're seeing on the screen as we wait for the Pope, it reminds me a lot of World Youth Day, the same kind of excitement, the same kind of building. You see young people from all over. It's a really beautiful image, and I think is, again, just a sign of the youthfulness of the church. We talk a lot about the future of the church, which begins with this new Pope, but the young people that are also present at this moment to see the historic aspect of this. It's really beautiful.
And we see the internationality, the universality of the Catholic Church. It's a global reality, and we see that in the crowds in the square.
And this we also saw during the ceremony of Pope Francis. So many people.
Okay, there's movement. Okay.
Yes.
Here we go.
The white curtains there behind the glass door. Now the doors are open.
Tracy first. He's smiling.
He's smiling. He'll give us the announcement. Here we go.
Gaudium Magnum. Annuncio vobis Papam. Gaudium Magnum. Eminentissimum Habemus Papam. Ac reverendissimum Dominum Robertum Franciscum Eminentissimum Sancte Romane Ecclesiae Cardinalem Prevost qui sibi nomen imposuit Leonem XIV.
So the Pope is Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who's taken the name of Leo XIV, Pope Leo XIV. Cardinal Prevost is an American, and he spent most of his ministry in Latin America, in Peru, and also in Paraguay. And he's an Augustinian father. He was the provincial in Latin America, and then became the Bishop of Chiclayo in Peru. And he then is also he became the Superior General of the Augustinian Fathers as well. He's now he's been the prefect of the dicastery for bishops.
We see the cardinal electors there appearing on the balcony there as well, with this joy and their smiles on their face.
A great joy indeed, and well, it wasn't one of those papabulas, so to say. What a great joy.
It's a wonderful joy, and he's from Chicago,
Yes.
Illinois.
Chicago.
Okay,
An American.
An American.
Yes.
And
an American. I think that's a historic moment.
For sure.
Truly, truly historic.
And you can see all the cardinals on the different
Yes,
balconies
on the
there.
different
For our radio
balconies.
listeners, you may not be able to see this, of course, but they're appearing on all the balconies to the left and right of the central balcony there. All of them clearly standing out with their red vestments and smiles, and
waiting to again for all of us to greet this new Pope as well.
To greet the new Pope.
Which now we know his name.
Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, Augustinian, and has served as prefect of the dicastery for bishops. A native of Chicago, Illinois, in the United States.
Wow. And so, as we said before, you saw all the flags and everything out in the square, and now all the Americans are holding their flags.
Indeed. It's a historic
and
moment.
the
Who would have
Peruvians
imagined?
too, I'm sure.
It's-
He spent
that's
most of his ministry in Peru.
Yeah, and that's a special thing, So he has a connection with
missionary
multiple.
experience
Exactly.
and this
Exactly.
continuation of evangelization mission of the church.
The priority, yeah. So you can see still they're like little pockets of red where all the cardinals are standing on the balconies.
And from our Vati drone footage, and seeing it from above there, it's a unique view, perched above in front of the facade and looking down at them as they're on the balconies there, awaiting now as the new Pope, as we mentioned there, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, and Pope Leo
14.
the 14th.
Yes.
Pope Leo the
Pope Leo the 14th.
The 14th.
Yes. And of course, his Leo the 13th was the great social reforming Pope for us.
He was a
so,
great social reformer.
Yeah, and he died in 1903, so still fairly recent in the
Yes,
grand scheme
yes.
of
Was
things.
Pope Leo the one with Rerum Novarum?
yes, exactly.
There you go,
And
good
then-
memory.
From my seminary days.
And then his successors wrote other encyclicals every 40 years afterwards.
So he started like a
on the
trend.
social, yes, and it's really one of the constitutions of Catholic social ministry and
And
Catholic
probably I
social
would say
doctrine.
a Pope needed for our times with all the social challenges the world
Yes,
has
yes.
today.
Yes.
And he's, relatively young, 69 years old, born on
Yes.
the 14th of September, 1955, as we mentioned, in Chicago, Illinois. And so 69.
Well, and Father Paul, as you were just saying, I agree. And maybe Father Bob, you can really stress this point because you work in
The
social
dicastery
humanitarian.
for
Exactly.
Integral human
So
development.
this is an important aspect of the church.
Yes.
The
yes.
Catholic social, the
Yes.
Catholic social teaching,
Yes.
I think, is important,
Very.
and it's often the untold story of the church,
Yes.
or perhaps the hidden secret of the church. It has so much in the
And it was one of the needs discussed by the cardinals during their congregations this last week too.
There we see.
There's
the
the American flag.
There's a flag there. People are thrilled about this.
Yeah,
And
and
it's-
there's quite a number of American students.
Oh, yes.
Dr. O'Donnell was here, and he was going to be in the square with his American students. So you can imagine them
What a
cheering.
treat.
Yes.
It'll be a treat for them, indeed. Yes.
I can imagine the scene. The house I live behind is the Basilica of St. Augustine, where we have also the tomb of St. Monica.
Yes.
There.
Yes.
So it must be a
Beautiful
great day
church,
for all the Augustinians there.
Yes.
Yeah, very special day.
Yes.
Indeed, he, looking at his biography in going back to more recent history, 1999, he was elected the provincial prior of the Mother of Good Counsel province in Chicago of the Augustinians, and after 2.5 years, the ordinary general chapter elected him prior general of the order of the OSAs. Ministry again entrusted to him in 2007 at their ordinary general chapter. And reading here, in October 2013, he returned to his province of Chicago to serve as teacher of the professed and provincial. He served as, and then let's see, his roles there. And 3rd of November 2014, when Pope Francis appointed him apostolic administrator of the Diocese of Chiclayo in Peru, where he served many years, and he was made a bishop there, and served there for many years. And then in March 2018, he became second vice president of the Peruvian Episcopal Conference. So working as a missionary there, a missionary bishop as well in Peru. Here we're seeing these beautiful shots of the Vatican there,
yes.
of at the same level almost of those balconies, and all the cardinals kind of crowded in those balconies.
And they look like they have the same anticipation that
Right.
we do.
Exactly. Exactly. Any moment now, Pope Leo XIV will be
Pope
appearing.
Leo the 14th.
Amazing.
Will be appearing from that balcony.
Well, and
Leo the 14th.
looking again at his predecessor, well, the person he took the name from before, Leo the 13th, he actually, Pope Leo the 13th had the third longest papacy, well, verified papacy that we know of, behind Peter, the apostle, and then John Paul II. So one from way back in church history and one from our very recent history.
Long live the Pope.
Exactly. No, and even on the screens now you can see a lot of people climbing up on the what are they? The lampposts in St. Peter's Square.
Anything to get a better
Craning,
view.
yes. Just trying to get a good view of the new Pope.
And there we have the cardinals. These are the cardinal electors, right?
Mm-hmm, right. The ones that helped make this decision.
Yes.
Which, since we had 133 cardinal electors, then we had to have a majority of 89 cardinal electors to vote for cardinal.
I found intriguing the fact that the voting takes place in the Sistine Chapel, where you have the last judgment.
Right.
So whatever you do, whatever you decide, that's between you and the Lord.
Yes.
Because the weight of the responsibility is so great. So very fitting, very telling, eh?
Right. Well, and before you came in, Father Paul, Dr. Liz Lev was talking about the Pauline Chapel, and that's where the new Pope, now Pope Leo the 14th, when he will walk down this hallway in the chapel, and at the end of the chapel is an image of Peter crucified upside down, but the artist turned his head so that when the new Pope is walking down the hallway, Peter's eyes are following
Here we are.
There we are.
Pope Leo XIV is now
Pope Leo
appearing,
the 14th.
coming to the central loggia of the Basilica.
அதற்கு முன்பாக பெருநாட்டிலே ஆயராக பணியாற்றியவர் 2023 ஆண்டு முதல் ஆயர் நியமன
Well, and before you came in, Father Paul, Dr. Liz Lev was talking about the Pauline Chapel, and that's where the new Pope, now Pope Leo the 14th, when he will walk down this hallway in the chapel, and at the end of the chapel is an image of Peter crucified upside down, but the artist turned his head so that when the new Pope is walking down the hallway,
புதிய திருத்தந்தையினுடைய
Peter's eyes
வருகை
follow him.
திருச்சிலுவை தாங்கி
Pope Leo XIV is now
முன்வரக்கூடிய பணியாளர்களுக்கு அடுத்ததாக திருத்தந்தையின் திருமுகம் இதோ தோன்றுகிறது. கத்தோலிக்க திரு அவைக்கு புதிய தலைவர் திருத்தந்தை கர்தினால் ராபர்ட் பிரான்சிஸ் பிரவோத் திருத்தந்தையாக தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறார்.
And Dr. Liz Lev was also talking about the symbolism of the red that he's wearing. You know, it is a sacrificial role, and that is the symbol of the cloth he's wearing right now.
அதிகாரமிக்க அந்த ஆடையும் அவருடைய பதவிக்கான அந்த அலங்கார தோரணையோடு மாடத்திலே தோன்றியிருக்கிறார். புன்முறுவலோடு கரமுயர்த்தி மக்களின் ஆசிரை வேண்டி நிற்கிறார்.
Going through his mind, you know, the weight of this responsibility.
Oh yeah. You can see it on his face.
You can see it on his face.
மக்கள் வெள்ளம்
You're never the same person.
No.
ஆரவாரம் எழுப்ப.
And we're hearing the bands below, the mutual salute of the anthems, the hymns, Vatican hymn and the
Vatican மாடத்திலே
as we do traditionally at the
அவரை தேர்ந்தெடுத்த
Christmas, as we've mentioned.
திரு அவை பொறுப்பாளர்கள் புடை சூழ்ந்து
after
நிற்க
this,
இதோ புதிய
now, Pope
திருத்தந்தை
Leo XIV,
தோன்றுகிறார்.
he will give a greeting and impart his first apostolic blessing, the Urbi et Orbi, to the city and to the whole world.
So that blessing extends to
உலகோருக்கான
everyone who is
ஆசீர்
watching, everyone who is
என்ற
listening,
திருநிகழ்வு
your
நிகழ
family,
இருக்கிறது.
wherever you are.
தனது இரு
It's a
கரங்களை
great
உயர்த்தி
moment to prepare ourselves
மக்களை
for this first blessing.
ஆரவாரத்தை ஏற்றுக்கொள்கிறார்.
This most solemn blessing. You can just feel and see the emotion on his face.
Yeah.
மக்களுடைய உணர்வுகளையும் ஆரவாரத்தையும் புரிந்து கொள்ள முடிகிறது.
And the crowds that are gathered in
பல்வேறு
the
நாட்டிலிருந்து
square still arriving.
மக்கள்
We're being told
கூடி
from the avenues
அக்களிக்கக்கூடிய ஆர்ப்பரிக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு சூழலை காணுகிறோம்.
the streets and the
கத்தோலிக்க திரு அவைக்கு ஒரு பொன்னால்
So just getting messages
புதிய
here,
திருத்தந்தை
congratulations,
புன்முறுவலோடு
Mr. Pope.
மக்கள் முன் தோன்றுகிறார்.
And you can hear the chanting from the square.
Long live the Pope. Viva il
Yeah.
Papa. Viva il Papa.
Viva il Papa.
மக்களுடைய ஆரவாரம்
Now waiting
குறைவதற்காக
his first words.
காத்திருக்கிறார்.
La pace sia con tutti voi. Fratelli, sorelle carissimi, questo è il primo saluto del Cristo risorto, il buon pastore che ha dato la vita per il gregge di Dio. Anch'io vorrei che questo saluto di pace entrasse nel vostro cuore, raggiungesse le vostre famiglie, a tutte le persone, ovunque siano, a tutti i popoli, a tutta la terra. La pace sia con voi.
Of that, the weak voice of Pope Francis, who was blessing Rome. We have that fresh in our minds and our hearts, and our ears, hearing his voice.
We're just hearing the first words of Pope Leo XIV. As he continues, we'll provide a summary here in just a moment as we listen to his words. He's asked everyone to take
திருத்தந்தையினுடைய இந்த லத்தீன் உரைக்கு பிறகு
This is the peace
Una
of the risen
pace
Christ.
disarmata
உயிர்த்தாண்டவருடைய அமைதி உண்டாகட்டும்.
Peace that is disarming and humble and persevering.
proviene da Dio.
It comes from
Dio
God.
che ci ama a tutti.
God who loves all of us
கடவுள் நம் அனைவரை அன்பு செய்கிறார்.
without any limits and conditions.
எந்த ஒரு தடையும் வரையறையும் இல்லாது முழுமையாக அன்பு செய்கிறார்.
And,
Quella voce debole ma sempre
and we still have
coraggiosa
the
di
sound in
Papa
our ears
Francesco
of that, the weak
che
voice of Pope
benediva
Francis,
Roma.
who is blessing Rome here.
நமது மறைந்த திருத்தந்தையினுடைய ஆசிர் இன்றும்
We have that
இங்கு
fresh in our minds and our hearts.
நம்முடைய உள்ளத்திலே அலைபாய்ந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது.
Pope was blessing Rome.
Benedizione al
இப்போது ரோமையை அவர் ஆசீர்வதித்துக் கொண்டிருக்கிறார்.
quella mattina del giorno di Pasqua.
On that morning, on that day of Easter Sunday.
Consentitemi di dar seguito a
உயிர்த்த ஞாயிறு நிகழ்வு கண்முன் நல்லாடுகிறது.
Same blessing.
Dio vi ama tutti.
God loves everyone.
கடவுள் எல்லோரையும் அன்பு செய்கிறார். அந்த மகிழ்ச்சியான செய்தியை இன்று நம்முடைய உள்ளத்திலே எதிரொலித்துக் கொண்டிருக்கிறது.
Pertanto, senza paura,
So without fear,
uniti,
ஆகவே
mano nella mano
பயமேதுமின்றி ஒருங்கிணைந்து
di noi,
with God and among ourselves,
கடவுள் நம்மோடு இருக்கிற நம்பிக்கையிலே முன்னேறி செல்வோம்.
di Cristo.
we are disciples of Christ.
Cristo
நாம் கிறிஸ்துவின் உண்மையான
Christ
சீடர்கள்.
goes before us.
il mondo ha bisogno
கிறிஸ்து நமக்கு
della
முன்
sua
செல்கிறார்.
luce.
The world needs His light.
L'umanità necessita
ஒளியாக இருப்போம். இந்த
di lui
உலகு
come
ஒளியை
il
எதிர்நோக்கி
ponte
இருக்கிறது.
per essere raggiunta da Dio e dal suo amore.
But as the bridge between God and His love.
Aiutateci anche voi, poi gli uni gli altri,
கடவுளுடைய
a
அன்புக்கு
costruire i ponti
May we all
con il
build
dialogo,
உடன்பட்டிருப்போம்.
with dialogue and
unendoci
encounter.
tutti per essere
அன்பிலும்
un
பரஸ்பர
solo
உரையாடலிலும்
sempre in
உறவை
pace.
கட்டி எழுப்புவோம்.
All in peace.
Grazie a Papa Francesco.
Thank you, Pope Francis.
திருத்தந்தை பிரான்சிஸினுடைய வழிகாட்டுதலுக்கு நன்றி என்று தன்னுடைய முதல் செய்தியை நிறைவு செய்திருக்கிறார்.
Just elected Pope.
Voglio ringraziare anche tutti i confratelli cardinali
I'd like to also
che
thank my
hanno
brother cardinals
scelto me
who chose
என்னுடைய சகோதர கர்தினால்களுக்கு நன்றி.
the successor
di
Peter
camminare
என்னை
insieme a
தேர்ந்தெடுத்து
voi
திரு அவையில்
Chiesa
walk along
unita
with you.
cercando
பேதுருவினை வழி தோன்றலாக நியமித்ததற்கு நன்றி என்று நன்றி சொல்லுகிறார்.
lavorare come uomini
and
e
working
donne
together,
fedeli a Gesù Cristo
men and women faithful
senza
to Christ,
paura
without
per
fear,
proclamare il
அனைவரும் ஒன்றிணைந்து வேறுபாடுகள் கலைந்து
be missionaries.
கிறிஸ்துவின் உண்மையான உறவுகளாக இணைந்து செயல்பட அழைப்பு விடுக்கிறார்.
Leo, offering these initial words which we're just translating on the fly here.
un figlio di Sant'Agostino.
I'm a son of Saint Augustine, and I'm an Augustinian.
தான் அகஸ்தீனியன் சபையை சார்ந்த உறுப்பினர் என்பதை தெரியப்படுத்துகிறார்.
We say, with you I am a Christian, and for you I am a bishop.
உங்களோடு நான் சகோதர கிறிஸ்தவனாகவும் ஆயராக வழிகாட்டியாகவும் உங்கள் முன் இருக்கிறேன் என்கிறார்.
To the place that God has prepared for us. May we walk together, accompany each other.
நாம் அனைவரும் இணைந்து பயணிப்போம். கிறிஸ்து அழைக்கும் இடத்திற்கு இணைந்து பயணிப்போம்.
As Bishop of Rome, of course, his special greeting.
ரோமையின் ஆயர் என்ற முறையிலே மக்களுக்கு சிறப்பு மகிழ்வை தெரிவிக்கிறார்.
Look at how we can together be a missionary church.
நாம் பயணிக்கும் திரு அவையாக
that is always open to receive,
இணைந்து பயணிப்போம்.
just like in this square, to receive everyone, to welcome everyone.
ஒவ்வொருவரையும் இருகரம் விரித்து அழைத்து அரவணைத்து செல்வோம்.
Se me permiten también una palabra, un saludo.
And now, a greeting in Spanish.
இப்போது
Please allow me here to
ஸ்பானிஷில் நான் வாழ்த்து சொல்ல விரும்புகிறேன்.
In modo particular
பெருநாட்டிலே வட அமெரிக்க நாட்டிலே பயணித்த அவர் இப்போது
donde un pueblo fiel ha acompañado a su obispo.
தென் அமெரிக்க நாட்டிலே பணியாற்றிய அவர் தற்போது அந்த மொழியிலே மக்களோடு உரையாடுகிறார்.
Where we had such faithful people accompanying the bishop, and we had such faithful people helping the bishop.
Di Roma, d'Italia, di tutto il mondo.
All of you,
vogliamo essere
the
una
people of
chiesa
Rome and of Italy,
sinodale, una chiesa
நாம் அனைவரும் ரோமையின் மக்கள்.
we need to be a synodal church, a church that's a pilgrim.
நில வரையறையில் வேறுபட்டிருந்தாலும் இணைந்து பயணிக்கும் திரு அவையினுடைய உறுப்பினர்கள்.
And especially is charitable to those who are suffering.
துன்புறுவோருக்கு ஆதரவாகவும் ஆதரவற்றோருக்கு உதவியாகவும் துணைந்து இணைந்து பயணிப்போம்.
Today is the day of praying to the Madonna Papam. Our Blessed Mother Mary always wants to be close to us.
நம்முடைய திரு அவையின் அன்னை நம்மோடு எப்போதும் உடன் பயணிக்க துணை இருக்கிறார்.
Let us pray together for this
ஆகவே இணைந்து பயணிப்போம், தொடர்ந்து ஜெபிப்போம்.
for peace in the world.
ஒன்று கூடி உலக அமைதிக்காக இணைந்து பணியாற்றுவோம்.
Give us a special grace, our mother.
அதற்கு அன்னை மரியாள் நமக்கு நிறை பலனை ஆசிரை தருகிறார்.
You are blessed among women.
அவருடைய
Blessed is the fruit
திருப்பெயர்
of Jesus.
புனிதர்கள் கூட்டத்தில் சிறப்பு பெற்றது.
Pray for us
அவர் நமக்காக தொடர்ந்து
now and
வழி நடத்துவார், ஜெபிப்பார், ஆசி வழங்குவார், மன்றாடுவார்.
Pope Leo XIV there.
Pope Leo XIV, very interesting. A few themes coming out already there from his first piece, talking about peace.
Indeed, saying a greeting of peace. May my greeting of peace enter into your hearts and reach your families. All people, wherever you are, all peoples of the entire planet. May peace be with you. God's peace be with you, he said. And here we see him in his, after having given that opening and beautiful words,
Continuing
all.
also the message of Pope Francis, where he even said in Spanish and Italian, tutti,
Il
tutti, tutti,
Santo
todos.
Padre Leone, a tutti i fedeli presenti
And so
And
Pope,
the Holy Father Pope Leo, and to all people in the square and all receiving or hearing this through new technology online.
மீண்டும் இந்நிகழ்வை
Plenary indulgence
காணுகின்ற
established by the Church.
ஊடக வலைதளங்களில் இணைந்திருக்கக்கூடிய அனைவருக்கும் புதிய திருத்தந்தை 14ஆம் லியோ வழங்க இருக்கிறார். இந்நிகழ்வை காணும் அனைவருக்கும் சீன ஆசீர் நிறைவாக கிடைக்கிறது.
Solemn blessing to the entire world, to all you joining us.
சிறப்பு ஆசீர் உலகுக்கானது.
Receive this solemn blessing.
உலக அனைவரும் இந்த ஆசீரை பெறுகிறார்கள். புதிய திருத்தந்தையின் முதல் சிறப்பு ஆசீர்.
Sancti Apostoli Petrus et penitens et emendationem vitae, gratiam et consolationem Sancti Spiritus, et finalem perseverantiam in bonis operibus tribuat vobis omnipotens et misericors Dominus. Amen. Beati Ioannis Baptiste,
அன்னை மரியாளுடைய
Apostoli
அரவணைப்பில்
Petri et Pauli et omnium sanctorum, misereatur restri scendat super vos et maniat semper. Ad vitam aeternam, indulgentiam, absolutionem et remissionem omnium peccatorum vestrorum,
Blessing there. Receive
spatium
blessing.
vere et fructuosae penitentiae, cor semper penitens,
Blessing.
et emendationem vitae,
You, this
gratiam et consolationem Sancti Spiritus, et finalem perseverantiam in bonis operibus.
பரிபூர்ண பலனுக்கான ஆசீர்வாதங்களை இப்போது திருத்தந்தை வழங்கிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறார்.
Amen. Et benedictio Dei omnipotens, Patris
ஆண்டவருக்குள்ளோடு
et
இருப்பாராக.
Filii
தந்தை மகன் தூய ஆவியின் ஆசி நிறைவாக உங்கள் மீது பொழியப்படுவது.
with our prayers and support.
திருத்தந்தையினோடு வாழ மக்கள் கூட்டம் கரம் உயர்த்தி வாழ்த்துக்களையும் மகிழ்ச்சியும் தெரிவிக்கிறது. இனிய புன்முறுவலோடு புதிய திருத்தந்தை கரங்களை உயர்த்தி மக்களை ஆசீர்வதிக்கிறார். அவருடைய ஆரவாரத்தை பெற்றுக் கொள்கிறார்.
to all of us and all of
திருவை
you
மகிழ்ந்திருக்கக்கூடிய திரு புனிதமான இரவு. புதிய திருத்தந்தையை திருத்தந்தை பிரான்சிஸின் மறைவுக்கு பிறகு ஜெபங்களோடு ஒன்றித்து நாம் வேண்டிய நம் வேண்டலுக்கு இறைவன் பதிலளித்திருக்கிறார். கத்தோலிக்கர்களுடைய புதிய தலைவராக கத்தோலிக்க திரு அவையின் 267வது திருத்தந்தையாக திருத்தந்தை 14ஆம் லியோ அவர்கள் தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறார். திருத்தந்தை 14ஆம் லியோ அவர்கள் அமெரிக்காவிலே இலனாய்ஸ் மாகாணத்திலே சிகாகோ நகரிலே பிறந்து அகஸ்தீனியன் சபையிலே உறுப்பினராக இணைந்து பெருநாட்டிலே ஆயராக பணியாற்றி 2023ஆம் ஆண்டு ஆயர்களை நியமிக்கும் டிகாஸ்ட்ரி என்று சொல்லப்படக்கூடிய ஆணையத்தின் தலைவராக பொறுப்பு வகித்து தென் அமெரிக்க நாடுகளினுடைய திருத்தந்தையின் பணிகளின் மேற்பார்வையாளராகவும் பணியாற்றி வந்திருக்கிறார். ஆழமான ஆன்மீக ஆழம் கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய அகஸ்தீனியன் சபையிலிருந்து புதிய திருத்தந்தை நமக்கு கிடைத்திருப்பது திரு அவையை இன்னுமாக வலுவூட்டும். அவருடைய தொடக்க சொல்லக்கூடிய உலகோருக்கான செய்தியிலே திருத்தந்தை பிரான்சிஸை அன்போடு நினைவு கூர்ந்து அவருடைய வழியில் பயணிக்க இணைந்து பயணித்தல், பயணம் செய்யும் திருச்சபையிலே எல்லோரையும் அரவணைத்துக் கொள்ளுதல், ஒன்றிணைந்து பயணித்து ஏழை எளியோருக்கு ஆதரவற்றோருக்கு அடைக்கலமும் இருகரம் விரித்து அவர்களை அணைத்துக் கொள்வதுமான திருத்தந்தையினுடைய உணர்வுகளை உள்வாங்கி தன்னுடைய பணியை தொடங்குகிறார். அவருடைய முதல் செய்தி திருத்தந்தை பிரான்சிஸ் அவர்களுடைய எண்ண ஓட்டங்களை பிரதிபலிப்பதாகவே இருக்கிறது. அமெரிக்க மண்ணிலிருந்து ஒரு புதிய திருத்தந்தை தென் அமெரிக்க நாட்டு மக்களுடைய வாழ்வில் பிரதிபலிக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு திருத்தந்தை, வளமையும் வறுமையும் இணைந்த உணர்வுகளிலே புடமிடப்பட்ட ஒரு திருத்தந்தையை திருச்சபை பெற்றிருக்கிறது. இறைவனுக்கு நன்றி சொல்லும் தருணம் இது. அமெரிக்க ஐக்கிய நாட்டிலே பிறந்து பெருநாட்டிலே மக்கள் படும் துயரங்களை, வாழ்வாதாரங்களை அவர்களோடு பயணித்த ஒரு திருத்தந்தை, வளமையும் வறுமையும் கைகோர்த்த பணித்தளத்திலே பணியாற்றியிருக்கிறார். அத்தகைய ஒரு திருத்தந்தை மக்களுடைய எண்ணங்களை, உணர்வுகளை, திரு அவையினுடைய எதிர்பார்ப்பை காலத்தின் அறிகுறிக்கேற்ப திரு அவையை எடுத்துச் செல்லக்கூடிய ஒரு ஒப்பற்ற தந்தையாக மலருவார், வளருவார் என்று நாம் இறைவேண்டல் கொள்வோம்.
So may the holy apostles Peter and Paul, in whose power and authority we trust, intercede us.
பேதுரு சதுக்கம் மகிழ்ச்சி வெள்ளத்திலே ஆர்ப்பரித்திருக்கிறது மக்கள் கூட்டத்தால். புதிய திருத்தந்தை நீடூடி வாழ, திருத்தந்தை வாழ்க வளர்க என்ற குரல் எதிரொலிக்கிறது. இந்த நிகழ்ச்சி திருத்தந்தையினுடைய புதிய திருத்தந்தை அறிமுகப்படுத்துகின்ற இந்த நிகழ்ச்சி இனிதே நிறைவு பெற இருக்கிறது. இசை முழக்கத்தோடு இந்த நிகழ்வு நிறைவேற இருக்கிறது. தன் மக்களுக்கு மாடத்திலே தோன்றிய திருத்தந்தை சிறப்பு ஆசீரும் பரிபூரண பலனுக்கான முதல் ஆசீர்வாதத்தையும் தந்திருக்கிறார். அத்தோடு இந்த உலகளாவிய திரு அவைக்கும் உலகோருக்கும் தனது முதல் செய்தியை வழங்கியிருக்கிறார். உயிர்ப்பு நாளில் இயேசு ஆண்டவருடைய உயிர்ப்பு ஞாயிறு மறையுரை நிகழ்வையும் திருத்தந்தை பிரான்சிஸ் அவர்களுடைய செய்தியையும் உள்வாங்கி பிரதிபலித்த புதிய திருத்தந்தை பயமின்றி நாம் கிறிஸ்துவ முன் செல்வதால் இணைந்து பயணிக்கவும், திரு அவையில் ஒருங்கிணைந்த பயணத்திலே அன்னை மரியாள் நம்மோடு உடன் பயணிக்கிறார் என்ற ஒரு நம்பிக்கையும் கொடுத்திருக்கிறார். திருத்தந்தை பிரான்சிஸ் அவருடைய மனநிலையை, எண்ணங்களை பிரதிபலித்திருக்கக்கூடிய இந்த புதிய திருத்தந்தை அதை எண்ண ஓட்டத்திலே திரு அவையை இனுமாக மக்கள் திரு அவையாக ஒருங்கிணைந்த திரு பயணம் மேற்கொள்ளக்கூடிய திரு அவையாக, எதிர்நோக்கின் நம்பிக்கையாளர்களை கொண்ட திரு அவையாக புதிய பரிணாமத்தை காண இந்த திரு அவையை மறைந்த திருத்தந்தை பிரான்சிஸ் அவருடைய எண்ண ஓட்டங்களிலே, மனநிலையிலே முன்னெடுத்து செல்வார் என்பதற்கு எல்லளவும் ஐயமில்லை. அவருடைய முதல் செய்தி ஆதரவற்றோருக்கான குரலாகவும், உலகத்தில் அமைதி ஏற்படுத்தவும், நலிவுற்ற மக்களை அரவணைத்துக் கொள்ளவும் நாம் ஒருங்கிணைந்த மக்களாக பயணிக்க அழைப்பு விடுத்திருக்கிறார். கிறிஸ்துவின் அமைதி நம்மில் குடிகொண்டிருக்கவும், அந்த அமைதியை உலகோருக்கு வழங்கவும் நாம் இணைந்து பயணிக்க அழைப்பு தருகிறார்.
Of the colonnade, and that ties in perfectly with what Pope Leo XIV was talking about also in his Urbi et Orbi, the blessing and the greeting, where he speaks about we need to be welcoming to all people, tutti tutti tutti, todos todos todos, and so it continues. I mean, you get that welcoming embrace from the square, but then
Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost 267வது திருத்தந்தையாக, கத்தோலிக்க திரு அவையின் தலைவராக 14ஆம் லியோ என்ற திருப்பெயரை தாங்கி இன்று திரு அவைக்கு கொடையாக கிடைத்திருக்கிறார்.
It's a good way to identify him.
1955ஆம் ஆண்டு செப்டம்பர் 14ஆம் நாள் அமெரிக்க ஐக்கிய நாட்டிலே
again,
Illinois
embracing everyone,
மாகாணத்தில்
inviting everyone,
சிகாகோ நகரிலே பிறந்த
basically underscoring the unity
Robert
that brings us together, both
பிரான்சிஸ் பிரபோட்
Christians, non-Christians, everyone.
அகஸ்தீனியன்
TJ,
குறுமடத்திலே
that unity you're talking about in
அச்சபைக்காக தன்னை இணைத்துக் கொண்டு
synodality as well.
He did, and that word meaning
1977 ஆண்டு
opinion and dialoguing together, listening.
ஆயராக மன்னிக்க வேண்டும் குருவாக
Listening to one another,
பயணிப்பதற்கு அச்சபையிலே தன்னை இணைத்துக் கொள்கிறார்.
and come to understand one another and where we're coming from and maybe the best way to go forward.
1982 ஆண்டு ஜூன் 19ஆம் நாள்
We're going to be
குருவாக அருள் பொழிவு பெறுகிறார்.
here for a little while longer, at least another probably about an hour here to provide more updates on what's happening and trying
2001 முதல் 2013 வரை
we're trying to get through there, and once we get
அகஸ்தீன் ஜபையினுடைய தலைவராகவும் பணியாற்றியிருக்கிறார்.
crowds are still there, although the
2014ஆம் ஆண்டு ஆயராக அருள் பொழிவு பெறுகிறார்.
performed earlier, leaving. And again,
மறை மாவட்ட
an incredible moment. It's amazing to have a pope from North America.
பொறுப்பு ஆயராக பணியை தொடங்கிய அவர் சிக்லாயோ என்ற மறை மாவட்டத்தினுடைய ஆயராக 2015ஆம் ஆண்டு
at the Vatican. In fact, he's Italian.
நியமிக்கப்படுகிறார். 2023ஆம் ஆண்டு வரை பணியை தொடர்ந்த
just shortly here. So stay tuned.
ஆயர் அவர்கள் 2023ஆம் ஆண்டு கர்தினலாக உயர்த்தப்பட்டு திரு அவையினுடைய முக்கிய பணிகளிலே பங்காற்றுகிறார். ஆயர் நியமன பொறுப்பு வகிக்கக்கூடிய ஆணையத்தினுடைய தலைவராகவும் தென் அமெரிக்க நாடுகளினுடைய திருத்தந்தைக்கான பணியின் மேற்பார்வையாளராகவும் பணியாற்றுகிறார். இப்போது திரு அவைக்கு தலைவராக தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறார். ராபர்ட் பிரான்சிஸ் பிரபோத் என்னும் தன்னுடைய இயற்பெயரிலே தன்னுடைய முன்னவர் பிரான்சிஸ் அவருடைய பெயரை தாங்கியிருப்பதால், அவரோடு உடன் பயணித்திருப்பதால் திருத்தந்தை பிரான்சிஸ் அவர்களுடைய மனநிலையை என்ன ஓட்டங்கள் ஆழமான இறையியல் மேம்பாட்டையும் இந்த புதிய பொறுப்பு வழியாக கத்தோலிக்க திரு அவையை எடுத்துச் சென்று திறம்பட பணியாற்ற வாழ்த்துவோம். மாதா தொலைக்காட்சி நேயர்கள் கண்டு கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய இந்த புனிதமான நிகழ்விலே தொடர்ந்து திருத்தந்தையினுடைய பணி சிறக்க அவருக்காக ஜெபிப்போம். தமிழக திரு அவை புதிய திருத்தந்தையை அன்புடன் திருப்பியிட பணிக்கு அழைத்து மகிழ்வுகிறது, ஜெபங்களையும் அர்ப்பணிக்கிறது. மாதா தொலைக்காட்சி புதிய திருத்தந்தையின் பணி சிறக்க, திருத்தந்தையினுடைய மேய்ப்பு பணி திறம்பட உலகோருக்கு இன்னுமாக கத்தோலிக்க திரு அவையினுடைய பணிகள் சென்றடைய திருத்தந்தை முன்னெடுத்து செல்லவும் வழிநடத்தவும் மாதா தொலைக்காட்சி தன் நேயர்கள் சார்பாக நன்றியையும் ஜெபத்தையும் உரித்தாக்கிக் கொள்கிறது. இவ்வேளையில் இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை வத்திக்கான் தளத்திலிருந்து மாதா தொலைக்காட்சி வழியாக மக்களுக்கு வழங்குவதற்கு பேருதவி புரிந்த வத்திக்கான் பாப்பிரை ஊடக பணிக்குழுவிற்கும் வத்திக்கான் மீடியா உறுப்பினர்களுக்கும் பணியாளர்களுக்கும் அவ்வாணையத்திலே பணி செய்யக்கூடிய அத்துணை நல்ல உள்ளங்களுக்கும் தமிழக ஆயர் பேரவையின் ஊடக பணிக்குழு, சிறப்பாக மாதா தொலைக்காட்சி தன்னுடைய சிறப்பான நன்றியை பதிவு செய்கிறது. இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை கண்டு கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய ஒவ்வொருவருக்கும் நன்றி. தொடர்ந்து திருத்தந்தைக்காக ஜெபிப்போம். நம்முடைய இறை வேண்டலை நம்முடைய குடும்ப ஜெபங்கள் வழியாகவும் திருத்தந்தையின் பணி சிறக்க சவாலான இன்றைய உலகச் சூழலில், தொழில்நுட்ப பாதிப்புகள் நிறைந்த இந்த காலச்சூழலில் இளையோரை வழிநடத்த, சமூகத்தை மேம்படுத்த அவருடைய பணி தொடர்ந்து இருக்க நாம் தொடர்ந்து ஜெபிப்போம். தொடர்ந்து திருத்தந்தையின் ஜெப கருத்துக்களுக்காகவும் அவருடைய எண்ணங்களுக்காகவும் நம்முடைய இறை வேண்டலை முன்னெடுப்போம். இறுதியாக இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை கண்டு கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய மாதா தொலைக்காட்சி நேயர்கள் ஒவ்வொருவருக்கும் நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். தொடர்ந்து திருத்தந்தைக்காக ஜெபிப்போம். இயேசுவுக்கே புகழ், இயேசுவுக்கே நன்றி. மரியே வாழ்க.